From bouquet to individual blooms.
Hey guys, it's LJ here. As you can see, I have this beautiful bouquet in front of me. So this is a wedding bouquet that I have got as a custom order. It is absolutely beautiful. There are some gorgeous flowers on this. So what I've done, this is a few days old. This is a Wednesday and the wedding was on Saturday. So they've been stored in water. I've just put them in some fresh water with some plant food, because you want them to be as fresh as possible when you dry them. I know it sounds a little bit of an oxymoron to wet them before I'm going to dry them, but you need them to be as fresh and open as possible. So we're going to take them apart. We're going to pop some of them into silica. Some of them will need a little bit longer to open. Some of the roses, I'm going to strip off the outer leaves that are browning and open up the centre. So those will take a few days more in the plant food. But yeah, that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to show you how I take a bouquet like this, break it up, put it into silica, and then we'll do another video on where we take the flowers out of the silica and put them into resin, to show you what it looks like when they are complete. So they are browning ever so slightly, so we're not going to be able to use all of them, and there are a lot of white flowers which, as you know, don't do particularly well in resin. They tend to go a bit translucent, but the rest of the bouquet is there. It's beautiful, and I think it's going to be lovely when dried. So
Just a quick PSA, please wear a respirator and eye protection when using silica sand. It is a very fine dust. You do not want it in your eyes, in your nose, in your mouth, in your lungs. Okay, so the first step is to take the bouquet apart. So I'm going to put a thin layer of silica sand in the bottom of my large tub. You can use any size tub for this. I just use a large tub so I can put lots of flowers in at once. So to ensure we've got a full covering on the bottom first, so then take apart the bouquet. We need to first remove the ribbon that's surrounding it. So this is held in by a lot of pins. Unfortunately the head came off the first pin, but we remove all the pins, and then we can undo the beautiful ribbon, and I will dry that ribbon out and save it for the lady. Then there is also some florist tape around the bouquet just to keep it nice and tight, so we're going to remove that. And there was also a little bit of string which we cut apart. One rose weirdly was outside the string, but you know, it is what it is. So what I'm going to do is slowly take the bouquet apart and place the flowers in groups. So I'm going to put all the roses together, I'm going to put the leaves together, I'm going to just group them so I can see what I'm working with and how many of each individual flower that I've got. So I ended up having to get a little bit more space, so I just put the lid on the box so I could pile them up there and then move them afterwards. And this way it just allows me to plan ahead and think, right, what flowers take a long time to dry, so they'll want to be together, what flowers take less time to dry. So once I divided them all up, it's time to start putting them in the silica. So as I said with the roses, these are an older bunch of flowers. They're not as perfect as we would like, so I've just taken off the external petals that are brown, and then I've taken out the central petals. You do this for two reasons. One, so it dries better, and two, it just looks so nice in resin when you can actually see down into the centre of the flower. So again, just removing the external petals that have browned slightly. With this one I was trying to open up the bloom slightly because it was very closed. I couldn't get into the middle, and unfortunately we did end up losing quite a few of the petals on this one because, as I said, these are not in the best quality, but we can save all of those. So any that are browned I've left off to the side, but any petals that are good quality, we'll dry those individually and we can keep them. They will look beautiful in a mould, but they can also be turned into potpourri or something like that for your home once they're dried. And obviously anything that I don't use in the mould will be returned to the lady whose bouquet it is. So I want to try and make sure that I get every piece that I possibly can. Again, just removing the centre ones, it allows it to dry a lot quicker, it allows it to dry a lot more efficiently, and it does look better in the finished resin piece. So I finished the roses. I then used these larger white flowers, and unfortunately one just fell apart as I picked it up. The second one was not in good enough quality, so we managed to salvage one of them. Then I've got these smaller blooms, and I've cut off the heads that are usable, and the ones that are still buds I'm putting back in the plant food for a couple of days just to see if they opened up. I did end up getting 3 that opened up. It's not very much, but it does make a difference. The more blooms you've got, the more choices you've got. So again, I'm just securing these gently into the silica sand. So I'm just sitting them on top really, and giving them a slight wiggle so they're not going to fall over. So they are sort of indented into the silica. Then these tiny little white ones, I've pulled off the blooms that are functional. I've removed any that are dead, dying, browning, and I've put the buds again back into the plant food with water, and we'll keep it there for a couple of days to see if any opened up. Unfortunately they didn't. Now these flowers were the bride's favourite. She asked me to do as much as possible to salvage these, so I tried really hard. Then with the hydrangea, unfortunately one bunch was very much browned and droopy and it just didn't look very nice. The other two bunches were perfectly fine to dry, so I've just broken them down into smaller sections so that they will be easier to use and they will be easier to put in this silica to dry. If you have a huge bunch, sometimes you will not get the silica sand in all the areas you want, so you can always rebunch them together when you put it into the resin, but you want it to be as small as possible. Then I'm going to gently, very gently, shake silica all around the edges. I'm going to start with the roses, and then I'm going to move the petals so that I get silica sand in between each and every petal. And this is why you need to use the sand, not the silica beads. So I'm going to put some in the middle and then going to shake it. I'm going to put it in between each petal, and this ensures that it dries really nicely and you don't get anything rotting in the centre. Again, it's why we take out the centres, so that we can do this and get silica sand everywhere, which really gives you a really nice finish on the flowers. I'm going to do exactly the same with all the other flowers. Put silica around the edge first to support it, and then fill up the centres. Even with these very small flowers, I'm doing the same thing, shaking it high from above to try and get it in between all those petals, make sure it's in the middle, and around the edge to support it. And then the hydrangea again, just covering it gently with it. I then give it a shake, and as you can see, a lot of things were revealed. So I will do a layer like this, and then I'll give it another gentle shake, and it allows A, for the silica to really get down in between the petals, and B, it allows you to make sure you have enough silica to dry those flowers accurately. So then on top of this one, I laid all the petals that were usable. I've just laid them out in a very thin layer, and then I'm just going to gently pour some silica on top of them. You can crush petals like this very easily, so when you're putting the silica in, you need to be aware. You need to pour some into the centre of it first, and then go round and support the sides. So I'm just going to fill in the centres here, which will secure it down, means they're not going to wobble and fly away. Then I can go around the outsides and fill up the spaces around them, and that's just going to make sure they're really secure. So when that box was done, I had the greenery left and some of the roses. So I've got another box. This is a day or two later, and we're going to use some of these blooms that have opened up over the last couple of days. As I said, I only got maybe 3 or 4 in total that did open up, but that's 3 or 4 more than we had at the start, so it's always useful to do. Again, taking these roses down, unfortunately some of them did fall apart, but that just gives us more petals to use. Nothing goes to waste, unless it is brown and it's not going to work very nicely in the resin. Nothing goes to waste. Again, filling up the centre of the roses, then going to fill around them to support it, and I've done exactly the same with those little spiky flowers down on the side. You just want to be really gentle, because flowers can easily be crushed, bruised, crumpled, and you don't want that, because it's not going to look particularly nice in your finished piece. As I did mention, these are older flowers, so some of them were. Then I'm going to pop some of the greenery in. Greenery is nice and simple. You just cut it down to the size you want and sprinkle the silica sand around it. Greenery is a really nice one to do, especially ones like this that have got open spaces between their leaves. They dry so beautifully. Some of them I dried in long groups like this, others I dried as individual leaves or pairs, just to make it a bit more functional and usable when we actually get into the moulds, and you can have a little bit of flexibility and a little bit of flexibility, I guess is the real word. You've got more choices with them if you've cut them down into smaller sections, basically. And then we're just going to let this sit, and we'll check it at different intervals. Depends on the humidity and temperature in your location.
Hey guys, we're just about to demould our flowers, and if you have enjoyed this video then please give it a big thumbs up and consider subscribing. It means an awful lot that you guys appreciate and support what I do here. So now we're going to get them out of the silica. So a couple of things. I checked these after 6 days and I took out a selection, which I'll show you now. Some of them needed to go back in, so I've put them back in and we will take them out of the silica together now. So all of the greenery has come out, so we've got all of our leaves beautifully dried, as well as the finer leaves. We also managed to get the petals from those flowers that did unfortunately fall apart, as the bouquet was slightly older than ideal, so we've got quite a few petals in there. Not all of them are perfect, but they're all dried, ready to be used. We have this selection, so we've got all of the hydrangeas, blue hydrangea done. We've got these, we've got the rose, and we have these smaller white ones. And actually I need to keep this open to add things to it. There we go. Okay, so we'll start with this box that we have. Okay, so the first thing I tend to do is just gently shake, and you can see the flowers start to rise to the top. Okay, so I'm just going to angle this ever so slightly. And they start to reveal themselves. So I'm just going to use my long handled tweezers. Okay, and now because we are using silica, I'm going to put my mask on and put it on speed up, and I'll see you at the end.
Okay, so again I'm just going to go through and follow the same process. Gently shake it and pull out the flowers using my tweezers. You don't really want to touch these. The oils on your fingers can react to the flower when it's in the resin. Once I've cleared a section, I'm just going to gently scoop out the silica until I reveal some more flowers. I just go through this process again and again until I've got out everything that is in my tub. It takes a long time, it's a slow process, but you need to be careful and gentle. And I'm just going to clear some of this powder away, there we go. And then I also have, you can see just in the side, a fish slice. And that is very useful for getting underneath the larger flowers to turn them over, because you don't want to just pull it up, because the weight of the silica sand can break all the petals. So again, I know that section is empty now, so I can clear the silica from there, tip it back, and then I've got access to the other flowers that are in this tub. These have dried so beautifully. I was a little bit worried at the start when the roses started to fall apart, like this one did in the silica, unfortunately, but again, it just gives us more petals to use. It's not a problem, nothing goes to waste. Yeah, I was a little worried at the end, but actually they've come out beautifully, so I'm really not worried at all. We're going to have plenty to use in the pieces that we're going to make, and yeah, they are such beautiful roses. It was a lovely bouquet, and it's such an honour to be trusted to create something with these as memorial pieces. But this is why I do what I do, and this is why I love it.
Right, now we've got everything out of the silica sand. They will stay in their boxes for about a day, 2 days. I'll give them another tip out, make sure we've got all of the beads of the silica sand out, because you don't want that to be in your resin. Then we will start putting them into moulds. So, if you have enjoyed this video, as I said earlier, please give it a big thumbs up, consider sharing it to your friends, anyone else who might find this useful. And join me in a week or so to find out how these beauties look in their moulds. Now, I'm going to be using slow cure resin. So it's going to take a little bit longer, so this won't be next week's video. It'll be in a couple of weeks because I need to give it enough time to cure in the mould before I can actually take it out and show you guys. So yeah, keep your pies, keep your eyes peeled for that. And yeah, thank you very much for spending time with me today, guys. Keep crafting, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.